Well, what's going on, everybody? This is Dylan with Dylan Talks Tone, and today is PRS Silver Sky Day. Wait, Silver Sky SE Day. So, I've got my American Silver Sky up there. We've got the new PRS Silver Sky SE here, and we're going to talk about this guitar in depth today. This video is sponsored by Sweetwater. Okay, so let's get the boring parts out of the way first. One, this video is sponsored by Sweetwater. They did send me this guitar to review. I actually purchased the core Silver Sky with my own money, but this one, Sweetwater was kind enough to send me for this video. So thank you very much for that. If you want to know more about Sweetwater and their cool, you probably already do. Go in the comments or in the description, and there is a link. If you use that link, it does help out the channel just a little bit. I do appreciate it. You can use it for all of your purchases or your purchase of this here guitar right here. However, I will tell you, they're probably going to be on back order for a little while. A little bird told me that they are ramping up production on this guitar, so don't freak out if you can't get one right away. They will be available everywhere very soon. So don't, go on eBay and spend too much money for one or something. That would be kind of dumb. In this video today, we are going to break this guitar down a little bit. We're actually going to take it apart. We're going to take apart the other Silver Sky, and I'm going to show you some things. This is a video, you've probably seen all the other videos this week. There's comparisons between the Silver Sky from the United States and this one. I think Mary Spender did a fantastic job of like a split screen going back and forth. We don't need to go there again. What I want to do, because this is Dylan Talks Tone where we get a little technical and go a little crazy with it, is I want to get into some of these finer numbers. We're going to talk fret size. We're going to talk about the nut. We're going to really break into this thing. And then in the end, I'm going to show you I think my overall take of this is that there's a couple of problems that PRS is going to have with this guitar. And so we're going to talk about that. And so let's get right into it. Okay, first of all, overall build quality. I took it out of the gig bag, which I really like the PRS SE gig bags. They got a little hook so you can hang it in the closet. It's a good gig bag, honestly, it really is. I took it out. The immediate thing I noticed, and a lot of people did in the videos, is that this is a sprayed urethane finish on the neck. Now, the core one is a lacquer finish, so like a nitrocellulose lacquer finish. This is urethane. Well, other thing I did notice about this too is that the scarf joint is different. So the neck construction itself is a little bit different than the core model. As soon as I started playing it, I immediately noticed, I was like, man, this radius is flatter. Now you're gonna say, okay, I'll call BS on that. You just know it already off the spec sheet. So I don't really care what size necks are on my guitars. Typically, the Silver Sky was a little big for me. This feels smaller. It actually is smaller. So you know what we should do? Let's get into it really quick. Let's take all the measurements of the neck, and I'm going to tell you what they all are according to my actual measurements, not the ones on the website. Okay, so I've got the guitar all apart, and got my notepad here. I got my calipers out, took a bunch of measurements, so let's blow through this really quick. The SE on the bench has a 41 millimeter nut. Now, when I give you these measurements, these are on my particular two guitars that I have. I can't speak for every guitar, but I didn't want to go off the spec sheet because I wanted to see actually how it felt. You know what I mean? So 41 millimeter nut. On the American one, it's 42.5. It is noticeably wider. It's a weird thing to say that, but you can feel that. The other thing about it is obviously it's a different kind of nut. It's not a F-style nut in a slot. It's kind of like a PRS SE nut, or a Gibson style nut, really. But this is weird. Usually those sit in a little groove on the neck. This guitar, it actually sits, the fretboard is milled, and it's got a little finger that goes underneath the nut that's actually part of the fretboard, kind of tying it together, which is an interesting thing. I've never seen it done like that before, at least not in a guitar like this. So kind of cool. 41 millimeters at the nut, 58 millimeters at the 12th fret. Same thing on the other guitar. Now here's where it's interesting. They typically measure the thickness of the neck at the 1st fret and at the 12th fret in thousandths of an inch. So I'm just going to give them to you. It's 843 on this guitar, and it's 874 on the other guitar. So 50 thousandths thicker, more or less. Apologize. 25 thousandths thicker, more or less. This guitar has a smaller feeling neck. It does feel smaller in your hand. At the 12th fret, they're both about the same. They're both right in there at 945 down here, the thickness. But down here it's a lot thinner. And what that means is the taper of the back of the neck feels more Fender Slim C than it does the PRS. So if you have a small set of hands, or if you don't like a big neck, this might be the guitar for you because it does feel smaller from here up to about right here. Then it starts to feel almost the same as the other guitar. Okay, the next thing is, obviously it doesn't have locking tuners, but they're nice. They feel good, they keep the guitar in tune, they feel really nice. The other thing that is a little bit different is the pickups. These are different than the ones that are in the Silver Sky. First of all, you immediately notice that they have flat tops on them, and they are not arched like the ones, like radiused, like the ones in the Silver Sky. Now, the other Silver Sky. Now, the thing about that is, it's not what you think. So let's dive into the pickups really quick, and I'm going to show you what's really weird about these pickups in the American Silver Sky, and then what's kind of really weird about the ones in here. Let's take this thing apart. Okay, first of all, let's look at the core Silver Sky pickups and electronics in the guitar. They're using CTS pots, and it looks, I don't know if it's a Mallory cap. Anyway, you can see the cap, it's pretty cool. This guitar, the PRS SE, is using alpha pots, the big ones. Now the biggest difference between these two guitars is gonna be the pickups. The pickups are wildly different, and it's so crazy because they sound so similar in videos. To my ear, these pickups sound like there's more there. That guitar, the American one, is super low output, just full stop. This guitar feels like there's more there. And then when I went and measured it, I was like, this is really weird. So the American ones have this arch to them, right? But if you flip the pickup over, you'll notice that the magnets are not the staggered lengths like a Fender are. He actually pushes them through the bottom, and so they're arched on the top and on the bottom, which is really weird. Those measure 5.4K and right around 2 Henrys. So really, really, really low output S-style pickups, basically, in the American Silver Sky. Look at this guitar. It's a lot different. I'm going to show you a couple things here. First of all, this was mentioned on Phil McKnight's video the other day, but see how there are magnets. There are normal magnets. See, they stick out the bottom just a little bit. They're not staggered. But see these little sticking to the, see these little ones in between? Those are actually little magnets too. So I didn't know if they were magnets or if they were actually little steel poles, but they're actually little magnets, little Alnico magnets. You can actually feel them in there. I checked the gauge on all of the magnets, and they are the same basically as the other guitar. So I think they're Alnico 5s. And from the bottom, this is really interesting. There is an arch to the bridge pickup just a little bit where the neck or where the middle ones are pushed up and the outside ones are not pushed up as much. But the other two pickups are a little bit more flat, which is really wild. What'll really blow your mind is that these measure 7.4 in the neck, 7.3 in the middle, 7.3 in the bridge, and 2.5-ish Henrys all the way across. These pickups are wound a lot hotter, more or less, as far as resistance goes, and they have more magnet in them, which is really weird because they sound super low output. Now, I've not taken them apart and measured the height of the bobbins or anything like that. I probably won't do that in this video, but these are very, very interesting. The fact that they sound so similarly is really odd to me, given that on paper, the specs, they should sound wildly different. Okay, moving on to the tremolo and stuff. The tremolo actually is kind of softer. Yeah, it's like way lighter action on the other guitar. This one has a little bit heavier action, so I don't know if there's more springs. Yeah, there's 4 springs in here. And there's 4 springs in that one, so I don't know what the difference is, but I do know that this one is stiffer action. The other thing I do notice too is that while both tremolos come decked to the guitar, they're not floating. The front edge of this, typically when you do that, when you deck a tremolo on a guitar, it's flat. So you run the 2 front screws down too, so that the guitar is flat against the tremolo is flat against the guitar. On this guitar, at least the one I have, the front of the tremolo is about 2.5 to 3 millimeters off the guitar, and the tremolo is sitting backwards a little bit. Typically, that's not how you do it, but that's how I got it. Now, I don't know if that was a Sweetwater 55-point inspection thing, because they do check all this stuff, and it plays great, it feels great, it's awesome. But that's a little weird. But what it tells me is it's begging to be floated. So I think we're going to have a video coming up. I want to actually float both tremolos on both guitars. It's very similar basically to how you would do a Strat, but they're 2 different kind of tremolos. So we'll have a video coming out pretty soon because some people want to have them floated. John Mayer doesn't, but I do. So we'll do a video about that. Nice stainless steel trem arm, just like the other one. It's got a little locking nut in here. It's a little different than the American one, but it's a little locking nut in here so that you can keep that the way you want to have that. If we flip the guitar over, obviously we see it has a control plate over the tremolo cavity. It is not like a 3-ply thing like a Strat. It's actually just one thick piece, kind of squirey to tell you the truth. Nice engraved neck plate there. It's really cool. This guitar is really, really good. Oh, one of the other small kind of little details is these strap buttons are different than the ones on the other guitar. I remember watching the early videos about the Silver Sky, and they were talking about how the ones that they put on the Silver Sky were like string retainers from basses. These are not like that. These are just normal strap buttons. So yeah. It's a really cool guitar. After diving into all of that and looking at all the crazy tech stuff with the pickups and the pots and the wiring and the differences between the two and all of that sort of thing. Oh, we should definitely mention the weight. There's been a lot of people saying that these are way heavier than the American one. I weighed it, and it weighed exactly the same as the American one. My American Silver Sky weighs 7 pounds 3 ounces. This weighs 7 pounds 3 ounces. On the nose. I checked with Aaron Short Music because he has one of each as well, and he said that his was right around 7 pounds also. So I don't know where the heavy ones are, but the ones that I've heard of so far, which is just a few, are not super heavy. Yeah, I weigh it on a postal scale, so I would have to think it's pretty accurate. So let's get into the problems. There are a couple things that I am going to change. I already kind of alluded to one of them. It's not really a problem, it's just a preference. But there's a couple of things I'm going to change. One is I really, really like this urethane finish on the neck. But I can tell that it is a less expensive guitar in the feel of it. There's little, you can just feel it. So I might hit this with some 600 wet dry and just smooth it out just a little bit. It's like the spraying, the quality of the spray was not 100% on this particular example. Now, I'm not saying that all of them are this bad or that this is actually really that bad. I just kind of feel it and noticed it. So I'm probably going to hit some 600. We'll do a video where I do all these things in a video, and we'll make all the improvements. But that's one thing I want to fix. It kind of just bugs me just a little bit, especially right down in here. It's good up here, but right down in here it feels just a little funny. So we're going to take care of that. I'm really surprised that this is a 1-ply cover and not something 3-ply and nice looking like the front. I would imagine that it was a cost thing. It would make a lot of sense. Speaking of cost, I spoke to the guys at Texas Toast Guitars, and they're really in the know with how things cost and stuff. And they were telling me that alder is like twice as much as poplar. It makes a huge difference in the price of a guitar when we talk about literally the body costing twice as much. So when you go to scale, you think about, scale up for thousands of these things. Besides having it made overseas, that's a huge, huge cost factor. But like I was just mentioning, it weighs exactly the same as the American one. It feels the same. It doesn't feel any different, really. I did notice also that the chrome, this is chrome base plate on this tremolo, where the American one is nickel. So, there are a couple of things like that. The other thing I'm going to change, as I mentioned, I'm going to float the tremolo on both guitars. The other thing that I'm going to change, I'm not going to change the pickups in the American one because I like them for what they do. However, these pickups are so low output that they don't really hit an amp hard enough for me. I like to play without pedals into like a Princeton or a Deluxe or something like that, and I just feel like there's just not enough there. So I'm gonna actually make a set of pickups for this guitar and see how it is. Kind of an upgrade set of pickups for this particular guitar. I'm gonna put them in here and see how it is. Maybe we'll try it in that guitar too, but this one, definitely we're gonna do some fun stuff. So stay tuned for that. That guitar is awesome, and I think I want to leave it. But this one, I don't want to say it sounds bad. It just, I think I could get some more options and a little more versatility out of it if I changed out the pickups. So I'm gonna make some stuff, put it in there. Don't worry, you will know about it, and we will check it out. Probably the biggest problem that PRS is going to have with this guitar is that it is really, really good. Is it as good as the Silver Sky from America? A lot of people in a lot of the videos this week said that it was, like they could barely tell the difference, like that sort of thing. You can tell that it is not made in America. Pot friction, finish feel on the neck. Quality-wise, like as far as fret ends and like PRS-y kind of stuff, like it's good. There's no problems. It just feels different. That being said, this guitar is so good, that PRS has an issue on their hands, I believe, because 90% of people from now on are probably going to buy this guitar instead of the expensive one. It's really that good. Who should buy this? If you've been on the fence about a PRS Silver Sky and you don't want to spend the money for the American one, get this guitar. Go put one on pre-order right now. There is a link in the description. Get it on pre-order right away because it's super good. If you do not have a Strat at all, if you are a PRS guy, let's say you have other guitars, or you're moving from acoustic guitar and this is your first good electric guitar, get this guitar. The neck profile is fantastic. It feels great. This feels a little more Strat-y than the actual PRS Silver Sky does. The SE feels a little more amiable to more players. Let's just say it that way. I truly believe that this guitar is going to be one of the top selling guitars in 2022. It is that good. It is not the same as a Silver Sky American one. but it is so good. The diminishing returns of going from $849 to $25.49 or whatever that thing is, man, I don't know. See, that's the problem that PRS has. I don't know. This is so good. So good. I'm excited to play it some more. I'm excited to put some pickups in it. I'm excited to make some more content with it. It's really, really a fun guitar. Thanks for hanging out. Thanks for diving in, getting a little nerdy with me today about this thing. Do me a favor, hit the subscribe button and the like button. And also, you know, like I said, this was brought to you by Sweetwater, so please do me a favor and go down there and click on that link or two. Also, we used our Runway audio cables, and I used a Positive Grid Spark 40 actually in the beginning of this video. So there'll be links to that stuff in the description as well. Great guitar. You should get one, definitely. Make sure you check out our video on Monday. We've got a pretty cool video coming out on Monday. We've got one. Our news is on Wednesday. Our live streams are on Thursday night at 8 p.m. Eastern. Q&A kind of thing. Thanks for hanging out, and we'll see you soon.